Hello and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. In the last episode we got our research station that's over at Minmus fully crewed up and refueled. But we want to send that to Duna next. And the thing is, Minmus is in the wrong position right now. Because we want to accelerate in the direction Kerbin is orbiting to get up to a higher orbit. And if we come down from Minmus, if we, reduce our orbital speed at Minmus to deorbit to a low peri near Kerbin, we'll end up in an elliptical orbit that's sort of pointing out in the direction that we started from. And then if we burn more, we'll extend that out, and we end up going in the direction that we started from. We sort of go in and back. So Minmus is pointing in the wrong direction right now. But instead of just time warping ahead, I thought I'd do something else in the meantime. And I took these missions, these contracts, which is why we have more money now. Extract ore from Duna, deliver it to Ike, and from Ike to Duna. I just thought that was funny. And also get ore from the Mun. And from Minmus, plain flag on the Mun. So we need an ore hauler. So I went ahead and unlocked these larger holding tanks and these ore scanners. I knew there was a reason why I didn't have them on my earlier miner, and I went ahead and unlocked these larger landing legs. So let's use those and build ourselves a ore hauler. And I looked up the numbers. It's not actually a problem. It's not actually a problem to haul ore into orbit because it refines into the same weight of propellant. So I'd like a pilot, so let's bring 2 cans. Let's maybe get some battery packs on there. And let's get our converter and a large ore tank. One of these, and just a poodle engine, and just so we make sure we have plenty of ore, let's go with 3-way symmetry, maybe like this. We're definitely going to want a decoupler in the middle for the lifter, and what else? We will need some solar panels, just maybe put them on these lines here. Copy that. Copy that. And we'll want landing legs. Let's get the big ones. Just put them near the bottom. And we'll want miners. Start those retracted. We will want mining arms, the big ones of course. And I'd like to do something a little different today. I'd like to try using a reusable first stage. Let's just keep bringing this up. And since this is reusable, we don't have to worry too much about cost effectiveness. We can just go a little bit overboard. So maybe like a mainsail in the middle, and 3 boosters on the sides under the poodles. And some adapters. And some probe cores. I'll just put 1 on each. This is excessive, but we don't have the large probe cores, and I don't want the drag to be unbalanced. Let's name this ore hauler. Okay, I don't want the drag to be unbalanced. And, we might actually want a little more fuel. I guess I'll enable crossfeed. Let's take those off. Get a little bit more fuel. Now we need to bring these down, I guess. And actually, we want these to be low. We want these to be low. So these can act as like our landing legs. These have high impact resistance. 20 meters per second, so that's good. We will obviously need parachutes. Get some drogue ones. Get some... maybe like 6 up here. And, you know, just tons of parachutes. Can't have too many parachutes, really. I don't know if that's enough drogue parachutes, actually. There we go. And I think our upper stage is going to need a little bit more thrust. So I'm going to add some decouplers and just get some extra cheap engines on there. Maybe just, well, maybe I'll put them on these sides. I don't know. Get some fuel tanks. And just the Reliant low-cost engines. And enable crossfeed. Get a nose cone. And we want these to fire from the start, I guess. That should be fine. I think that's okay. I think that's okay. Just copy that, and we're going to need some radiators. Maybe just some medium ones. Should be enough. Anything else? You know, I'm actually gonna put some nose cones on here, and I'm actually gonna use decouplers just so the weight is less. Hopefully that won't cause any major issues. We want that to be very late in the staging. Let's just separate all the staging out here. Yeah, so the first staging to go is going to be this decoupler here. And then it's going to be all of these radial decouplers. That, and also that. That seems right. And actually, we want to turn the engines on as soon as this decoupler goes. So let's bring these down here. Okay. Well, that should be fine. Did we turn crossfeed on? I think we turned crossfeed on everywhere we need to. Crossfeed is on. Crossfeed is on. Check the priority. 20, 40, 50, 40, 20, minus 10. And minus 10. Okay. The flow priorities seem correct. Is there anything else we need? Well, maybe the scanner. Maybe it would be good to have that. Just need one. I guess I'll put it near the top. Or, no, I'll put it here. Is that gonna... well, I can't decide. I'll put that there, and I'll put the other one on the top. Okay, and we'll want a grabbing unit for docking. And we might as well just put some miscellaneous science stuff on there. Just all our usual stuff. And I think we will definitely want an antenna. That makes sense to me. So, you know, maybe put that there. Everything looks good so far. Is that going to be enough thrust? Is that enough fuel? I hope so. Should I put more fuel on here? What's the weight at? We're at 400 tons. Each of these is 600 tons. This is... sorry, each of these is 200 tons. So that's 600 tons of thrust and another 150. So that's 750 tons of thrust. Almost a 2-to-1 ratio there. We can put a little bit more fuel. Maybe like one of these here. Just move these parachutes up, I guess, then. And here is the finished version. Yes. So let's get this crewed up and get going. Lodsky and Orsby, perfect name for a name for an engineer on an ore mining ship. And let's launch. So we're just going to be going straight up here. And we want to leave a little bit of fuel in the first stage for a powered landing. And before the first stage re-enters the atmosphere, we want to be burning sideways with our upper stage and reach orbit first. And then we'll switch back to our first stage. So just heading straight up. Unfortunately, this craft does have enough parts that I'm a little concerned about time warping. I can already see the speed of it going down a little bit. Well, it should be fine. So I'll wait until we have like 300 units left in these tanks, maybe, and then cut the engines, and then coast to the edge of the atmosphere. How's our APO looking? 60,000. Okay. Not that it actually matters, since we're just watching the fuel levels here, more than anything else. So 400, 300. Okay, an APO of 132, and that should be plenty of time for us. And since we're going straight up, we should hit space very soon. We can point a little bit sideways, I guess. And 69. Decouple and fire the engines and burn sideways. Go. And we want to keep an eye on the APO of our first stage. or rather keep an eye on its position. Just be careful that we are switching back to it. Now our APO on this stage is plenty high, so I'm actually burning slightly downwards to bring that down. A little bit unusual, but well, it does happen that you want to do that in some cases. And these tanks are empty, so I'm gonna go ahead and ditch those. How are these looking? They're a little low, but not too bad. Our first stage is still going up, fortunately. And we're at 1500. Another 700 until we're in orbit. 700 meters per second. I guess we can just time warp a little bit. 1700. And first stage is about reaching the APO now. And we're about in orbit. We're just watching our parry here. And that is now over 70,000. So we can switch back to our first stage. Yep, 74,000. Switch back here. Now we don't have a lot of control. We can go ahead and stage though. We don't have a ton of control. The reaction wheels in these probe cores are extremely weak, but we should point downwards naturally. What I could do is pump the fuel downward. And these are already empty, I think. Yeah. So that should help keep us pointed downwards a little bit more. And let's just time warp until we hit the atmosphere. And there we go. And let's just time warp some more. So you can see the engines are naturally pointing down. And we'll just rock a little bit, but that's fine. Now we want to be a little bit careful because we do need to do a powered landing, and we're also not super high on fuel. And we're rapidly going down. Let's just burn until the parachutes activate. There we go. And I guess I added enough parachutes to this thing that we don't even need to run the engines anymore. Although I think we did need to use them to get our parachutes to open in the first place. So let's just time warp downward. And you can see Kerbal Space Center in the distance over there. Not too far away, considering it's visible at all. And these have such high impact resistance that this is fine. Alright, recover vessel, how much did we get back? Come on, come on. We got 77,700 funds back. Not too bad. 97.5% value. Alright. Should be fine. And we want to send our ore hauler to the Mun, of course. So this is the usual thing. You should be pretty familiar with it. Set as target and burn basically directly towards it. And we have an encounter. Maybe bring our parry down slightly. Well, I mean, that's fine, isn't it? So, as always, get on the target and warp to next maneuver. And we don't want to run out of electricity, so we might as well extend some solar panels. Don't need to extend all of them, I suppose. We can extend some. And just warp to next maneuver. And we just do our burn. And time warp a bit. Okay, there's our encounter. And it looks like we're on a collision course. Okay. Well, we would like to actually get into a polar orbit. So what I might do is go downwards so that we're in a polar orbit. That'll help with the scan. So I'll just warp here. And just do our horizontal burn here. Or rather, vertical? I guess it doesn't really matter what you call it. So there's our parry. Alright. 70,000. And might as well go ahead and do the capture. Come on, warp a little faster. And warp here. And just get on your retrograde. And just warp to the parry. And we can just let our pilot handle the retrograde following. Burn until we're in a stable orbit. Alright. Well, landing is a little bit boring, so maybe I'll just do that off camera and the episode here. I guess we can deploy the scanner and start scanning. I'm not sure we're in a polar orbit. Okay. This isn't enough of a polar orbit, I guess. I might just handle that off camera, though. Okay, welcome back. I have landed this ore hauler on the Mun. However, I actually had to redo the launch. I didn't have quite enough fuel. I was about 250 meters per second short of being able to land. So I'll show you what I did. If we just go to the Space Center. Loading, loading, loading. And vehicle assembly building. What I did was I added a little bit more ore into the, or a little bit of ore into the tank, into the center tank here. well, I filled up the center tank and I left the outer ones empty. And then I just added some more fuel to the first stage. And this worked just fine. Has a little bit more delta V. No problems. I'll include the craft file in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.